Hello, my friends and enemies. Glad you are here. If you enjoyed this video, or the channel as a whole, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, liking the video if you think we did a good job, and most importantly, sharing this video everywhere. We would greatly appreciate it, and your support means everything to us. Thanks to everyone who already supports us. Bit of a disclaimer, I have had my doubts about the show, but this is me trying to give an unbiased, objective review of the Rings of Power. If they do something good, then I'll praise them. If they do something bad, well, I'm going to call them out. But I will try to look at this show from a perspective of entertainment, lore, realism, and cinematic quality. So please bear with me. This one's not going to be nearly as long as the other episodes. Oh, and it's going to be pretty spoiler heavy. So if you want to watch the show without knowing anything, you might want to skip this one. That being said, feel free to come back after you've seen the episode. So the episode opens with Adar giving a prep rally to his army before marching on the tower. When they arrive, it seems that no one is home. Arondir then starts shooting orcs from his hiding place. Then he shoots the tower, it begins to crumble, and Adar tells his orcs to get out. Arondir, jumps off from above and kicks a block off, and a chain yanks a beam into closing and locking the gates. They brought a battering ram with them, and the wood isn't very strong, so they could probably break out. But this shows that this is poorly written, and it's poorly written, contrived nonsense. And where's the rest of Adar's army? They were coming up in the thousands, and it's just empty outside the tower. And the tower keeps falling. Well, found the rest of the army. They were just taking a breather on the way up, and even though they were right behind Adar the entire hike up. Yeah, the entire time. So now the tower acts like an avalanche, and it crushes the remaining army as it climbs up. And at a great distance away, Bronwyn and her people are cheering the contrived nonsense. If you look closely enough, the villagers in the front are CGI'd in because paying extra pennies is too much for poor Amazon. Also, the amount of villagers that chose to stay with Bronwyn seemed to have doubled. Does the studio really put that little effort into the most expensive show ever, with their jobs probably on the line? Don't answer that. We know it's probably they put as little effort into as possible. Bronwyn says they have to hurry and make ready the village. What? You aren't bloody getting out of Flaming Dodge? Are you on crack? Numenore's pathetic fleet is headed to Middle Earth. It's obviously not big enough to carry 300 soldiers, let alone the horses for the cavalry and the supplies for the army. They will CGI everything. But a realistic fleet? Wow. They can hold 10 people below decks, and this is crazy. Isildur is mucking the horse stalls. All 10 of them. Okay, I don't know if you know this, but this is supposed to be 300 soldiers. But if you got 10, roughly 10 stalls for horses per ship, you're going to get 30. And you'll see later, it's a lot more than 30. But Isildur heads up on deck and runs into Galadriel. She says, "At ease." At ease. What modern abomination is this pile of goat's dung? This isn't Tolkienian language, it's modern military terms. It doesn't end there. Galadriel tells Isildur to be humble. She tells him to be humble. You can't make this up. If you didn't believe that the writers actually put this on paper, then you can be assured that the jokes will find a way to write themselves. We finally get to see where they are headed. Into Mordor. Through what looks like the eventual fortress of Minas Ithil, which later becomes Minas Morgul, the home of the Witch King and the Nazgul. I don't recall there being a massive river for them to just coast into Mordor on, but sure, I suppose. You can kind of see the exact way on the map, the little tall tower by the mountains on the left. Then you have that small village underneath. That's assuming that's the one that they're referring to as their area. Now, where Mount Doom is supposed to be doesn't seem like it's in the right area, but we'll find out, I suppose. The herbalist, Bronwyn, is giving orders like a commander. Arondir and her give a pep talk before expecting a force of orcs to come for them in the nearby village. Theo wants to fight outside, but his mother says she needs him to protect those who cannot protect themselves inside the tavern. So she gives him a spear? Hold the phone. The writers are trying to tell us that Bronwyn was born and bred on the art of war by Sun Tzu, but she gives a long weapon to be used inside tight quarters? Is she insane? Is she trying to get her son killed? And why is Theo walking without any injuries? It's been like 2 days and he's had a serious leg injury. Where's the consistency? The orcs eventually arrive and Bronwyn fails at her job of lighting a torch. An orc, comes to her hiding place and Bronwyn, like a complete dolt, yells and stabs his foot. He spins and kills the woman that was with Bronwyn instantly by cutting her throat. Wow. Bronwyn has been the double agent all along. Bronwyn then blocks the orc's wild attacks and then slits his throat. Why? Why? Why do you guys do this to me? Why must I be tortured by this review? What crime did I commit to be subjected to this drivel? Do you hate me this much? I can't bear it. Take it away. So no one hears the steel clanging or the yelling. They roll some carts down, locks in the orcs. The orcs break out. People die. It's nothing to write home about. And it's just, there's a battle. Can't really comment on it. It's so poorly done that I can hear Shad from Night's Watch screaming at the screen. I would be too if it wouldn't wake up everyone in the house, and it's too bloody early for this. There's a literal WWE fight between Arondir and a massive orc. Lots of wire moves and CGI effects. It looks awful. Of course, when Arondir is pinned and about to die, Bronwyn saves the day. My head hurts. Though I could say it's the first time Bronwyn has been dirty or covered in dirt and sweat in the series, so that's an improvement. It appears the Southlanders managed to completely wipe out the orc army. But they're not all orcs. The Southlanders that joined Adar were among those who were killed by Bronwyn's crew. Arrows come flying out of the trees and start massacring the villagers. Bronwyn is hit twice. Adar shows up. His orcs flood into the village, and they're breaking down the door to the tavern. Looks pretty bleak for the villagers. But guess who shows up to save them? The flaming Numenoreans. Blood and bloody ashes. Mother's milk in the bloody cup. And they have flaming more soldiers than those 3 flaming ships could carry with an entire cavalry to match. This is ridiculous. This would have unseated the cavalrymen when hitting such a large numbers. Really? A chain? You couldn't just run over them? They don't have any spears that we have seen. And the Numenoreans outnumber the orcs 10-1, as far as we can tell. But Theo becomes a blade master all of a sudden. Consistency. Galadriel dodges an arrow while on horseback at rather close range and chops the orcs to bits. At least this episode has gore in it to make the pain lessen and not become some classic film where there are no wounds and just bodies. This guy literally jumps off his horse to tackle some orcs. Why? On horseback, he would do more damage. Oh, it's Isildur's friend, the new lieutenant. The dimwit who can't fight. Makes sense now. The orcs will jump on the riders, but won't just stab them? Huh? Are you trying to lose on purpose? Don't answer that. Galadriel shows up in front of Arondir and asks to point out where the enemy commander is. He points out Adar, who has the broken sword. She leaps after him. I get the feeling he will get away, but I know he gave the broken sword to the butcher earlier. So it's a bait and switch, both for the viewer and the allies. Halbrand has seen Galadriel's pursuit and somehow managed to get in front of Adar with a spear and tripped Adar's horse by merely sticking out the spear. This series defies every law of established lore that Tolkien created. One of those was the law of physics. They capture Adar after Galadriel prevents Halbrand from killing Adar. And more nonsensical sayings that are supposed to make the writers look intelligent appear, and they didn't really work. Galadriel interrogates Adar, and not much comes to it, but his claim to have killed Sauron, to which she doesn't believe him. She tries to kill Adar, but Halbrand stops her. They are very contradictory in the nature of this show. There's a celebration of the rescue of the Southlanders, and Halbrand is introduced as the King of the Southlands. Looks can be deceiving. Oh, here it is, the bait and switch. And I can happily say I called it. I'm also going to call it that Adar manages to escape somehow. Butcher manages to get to the elf tower and uses his blood to activate the sword and jams it into the ground, which is a keyhole. And twists it, which releases a dam that is there. It floods down into the valley. The geysers randomly start erupting all around the village they are celebrating in. It's pretty random, but it happens specifically in the village. It should have happened outside of the village and approached, but it just starts in the village. I don't know anymore. Like, none of this makes sense. So the tunnels that the orcs had dug and the trench that the slaves were working on are now being filled with water. And that's how volcanoes are made. Though it seems to be in the wrong location to be Mount Doom. Though it is supposed to be in the distance, but it seems awfully close. Then the volcano launches projectiles at the village. Very targeted for a volcano exploding. Plot contrivance. Need that artificial sense of danger. This is a bit of a crazy scene, I will admit. Chaos ensues. Looks pretty heavily CGI, though, unfortunately. Oh, would you look at that? He got away. Man, I could predict this series. Oh, and no, I didn't watch this episode, then write the script. I did it during the first walkthrough. You're welcome for suffering for you, so you didn't have to. Galadriel just stands there and gets enveloped by the ashes raining down on the land, and then it cuts to black. Told you this wouldn't be a long one. There are too many little things that were wrong with this series. I didn't feel like torturing anybody else, especially myself, writing 7,000 pages of issues. So I limited myself to 5, which is a record actually for this review for the series so far. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. Any plot contrivances you think I missed? Do you think anyone or anything really happened in this whole episode? Like something happened? But let us know down in the comments. Thanks again for sticking around. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, but most importantly, please share this video everywhere. Thank you for your support. Walk in the light, my friends.